Alright, continuing. Miscellaneous construction maintenance equipment. Floodlight generators, lubricator pumps, sweepers, and snow removal equipment are categorized as miscellaneous construction maintenance equipment. Equipment that is listed under the registration USN 50000000. Floodlights unit figure 427, commonly known as the light plant, the intent of the field, the units of climate and built, being self-control, self-contained, especially suited for the use of the remote location emergency floodlight sources. Component light panel unit considered for the engine generator set with the portable floodlights, the extension cord floodlight mount with the ground rod, the floodlights extension cord flood mount with the grounding rods accountable to collateral gear. Assigned to each unit, therefore, it is important that these components are returned and stored in the assigned light plant. All of the components are mounted on a two-wheel trailer covered with weatherproof sheeting metal housing. Mounting provisions of floodlights are provided with the inside of the housing flood swivel in different form for the distributing and overload driver. The extension cord are supplied for the using floodlights always for a unit. The special plugs are used on these extension cords. They are only for use with the floodlight. Do not run the power tools from the floodlight plant. The power surge or power draw from these tools can overload the exciter, resulting in the damage of the generator. Before placing the light plant in operation, making sure the ground is used for the ground rod with the ground cable. Additional source for the light plant is positioned suitably with adequate operation room, the ventilation, distillation, engine heat, exhaust. Remove the number of the floodlights capable of required place the desired location. Plug the cables in and out receptacles. Alright, figure 427 shows floodlight unit. The door latches, engine, generator, fuel gauge, fuel tank, ground rod, battery, wheel, floodlight, voltage regulator, extension cords. Caution: do not idle engine with a generator excited with the engine is idle with the generator excessive field current may burn out general field winding. Safety. Safety is vital part of flood operation. Many floodlight safety measures are simple and obvious. Many safety precautions are applied to the floodlight operation careful as follows. Always apply pipe exhaust fumes outside when operating flood unit in an enclosed area. Always ground the unit before it's placed into operation. Always stop the unit before servicing the fuel lubricants. Caution: do not shut off the engine during when generator is under load. If the generator is not qualified to secure the generator, find somebody who is. Do not allow the extension cord with the contact show up the object, the oil, grease, or hot strip the chemicals. Extension cords should not be allowed to kink or be left on might or be run over to replace damaged cords. They are not to be patched or taped. Storage cords and properly placing coils loosely. Wearing hearing protection when vicinity with the running generator. Do not install the hooking place any of the electrical apparatus when the hands are wet, whether wearing wet clothing or shoes. When it becomes necessary to check the circuit, you have the construction electrician do this appropriate testing equipment. Alright, generators. Figure 428. The combination of the engine and electrical generator converts the mechanical energy and electrical energy. The most generators the Navy construction force range inside from 5 kilowatt to 200 kilowatt generator in size of the range, weight of about 480 pounds to 10,050 pounds. They are mounted on skid base, lifted down in the eyes of the provided operation of the construction equipment normally made with a selection generator based on the electrical demands and voltage phases. Alright, engine show the size, skid base, lifting frame, the lifting attachment, fuel bleed valve, radiator exhaust cap, fuel drain tube, barrier fill caps, engine oil, drain plug, secondary fuel filter, drain valve, engine oil, lubricating oil, drain valve for the forklift. The generator 428 shows the engine cool drain valve, the engine lubricating oil fill cap, drain tank, drain valve, the fuel oil outlet, fitting fuel tank, drain valve, fuel camp, tank strainer, primary fuel filter, drain valve, fuel strainer, drain valve, engine dipstick, cooler drainer, radiator, coolant drain valve, auxiliary fit, inlet filling, lubricating oil filler, drain plug, radiator fill cap. Frequency requirements when selecting the site of the generator. Keep in mind with the noise level the generator may possible problem noise levels in quiet areas. For example, operating 100 kilowatt present noise, however, exceed the allowable limits of unprotected personnel with the intermediate area. There are also personnel with the immediate area of the most wear single or double hearing protection. Other factors considered with selecting the site of the set of the generators as follows: place the generator near the points of large demand, reduce the size of the wire required, hold the line loss voltage minimum, provides adequate voltage to control the remote end of the line's generator must be placed on the stable, preferably level. Foundation should not be operated with an incline more than 15 degrees from level in air with the ground soft and stabilized foundation, wood planking, sandbags, other materials give a firm foundation for the generator. Although generators are designed to be operated without outdoors prolonged exposure, wind, rain, and other adverse conditions short-lived in their lives, when generators remain only site for an extended period of time, they should be mounted on solid concrete foundation instead of upper sometimes shelter. Grounding. Generator that must be connected to a suitable ground before operation. Warning. Electrical faults in the generator load lines and equipment can cause injury and electrocution to the contact with an ungrounded generator. Various types of grounding wire systems are used. The undergrounding metallic wire piping system, figure 429 view A, with driving metal rod, figure 429 view B, and buried pipe metal, figure 429 view C. A ground rod must have the minimum diameter 5/8 of an inch if solid, 3/4 inch if pipe. If ground rod must be driven into the minimum depth 8 feet. The ground plate must have the minimum of 2 square feet, and with a practical be the unbedded with the permanent moisture level. The ground rod is accountable collateral gear of the generator. 429 shows your number 8 copper wire water pipe, number 8 copper wire moisture lever, 1 to 8 inch, 1 foot, 1 inch, 1 foot, 8 inch, 8 foot, and number 2 foot minimum square, number 8 copper wire moisture lever, methods of grounding generator. The ground lead must be at least number 8 American wire gauge copper wire lead with its bowl of the clamped rod plate and piping system. The other end of the lead is connected to the generator. Set terminal stud is shown figure the 1430 generator watch. Any generator space placed in the operation of the generator watch should be established. Primary purpose of the generator wishes to produce power with a safe, possible manner. Notice and many maintenance for the problem planner generator that reduces immediate retention and ensure that the generator does not run out of the fuel. The construction equipment normally handled with the responsibility of the generator watch. Cleaning. Cleaning all the generator requires only cleaning of the dirty ground, grease off of the protective cover of the engine compartment and batteries in the skid base. Show for the ground cable, the nut and ground stud and ground cable, the ground cable driving stud, clamp, screw, ground and cut rod, coupling, and ground rod. All the components shown in figure 431 marked with asterisk should not be with the pressure wash except for the water will cause the moisture damage. Only method to clean these components wipe down with a clean rags. Lubricator, the loop must and lubricated with the dynamic construction force portable skid mount with the figure 423 truck mounted. More automotive construction equipment is based being used at the project site and some of the distance of maintenance shop. Portable self-contained lubricator used to save time, expense involved in lubricating moving equipment long distance to be lubricated and serviced. 413 shows the skid mount lubricator, air compressor, oil dispenser, air supply. Alright, left side of the and components for the generator. Access door, lubricating oil filters, left frame, eyeball, air cleaning panel filter, model relay, control cubicle, fuel indicator plate, plate fuel winterizing, control box opening, control cubicle door plate, electrical winterizing kit, control box opening, door AC. DC controls circuit breaker, air intake of the total door box and box access door, conventional receptacle, tactical relay box, speed switch, generator, wheel transfer plate, fuel guard, cranksafe, breather tube. And then the components on the right side, the Model 1 relay, governor muffler, fuel injection pump, the exhaust rain pan, crane case, rain shield, radiator grill housing, battery compartment accessor, battery slave, receptacles, engine alternator, secondary fuel filter, starter motor, skid base, low terminal voltage, charge board, exciter regulator. Alright, uses degrees fitting, put on all the length of the knee with the wipe with the fitting, including push the coupler with the control valve with the fitting, squeeze the valve with the lever with the grease forward out, release the lever, twist the coupler one side with the remove the do not try to pull the straight off with the after strip with the complete wipe over the control valve coupler, rewind the hose and put the control valve into the holder. Note when greasing, follow the manufacturer lubrication chart to ensure the greasing all fittings are greased properly. Intervals be controlled. The overgreasing can cause damage to seals and packings. Wiping excess grease can fail on deck equipment and on other components and do not require greasing and dispensing. Motor and grease gear oil. Pull out the necessary length of the hose, clean all the dirt of the hole with the plugging surrounding the remove the plug, clean the receive with the meter of the zero, insert with the size, control of the valve nose for the fill hole, squeeze the valve, lever the after quantity of the motor gear and the oil is dispensed, release the lever, then reinstall the plug, remove the earlier, clean the control valve nozzle, reset the meter zero, turn counterclockwise, store hose valve. For gauging inflating tires, air quick gauge with the 2 air chucks for them in the storage cabinet with the gauge has been fitting with the snap of the air hose, the coupler, the inflating tires, and then release for the gauge lever to check the pressure of the tire to pressure the inflate of the tire. Safety: always have a firm metal contact with the fuel, filling the fuel tank. Never stand directly in front of the tire when it's being inflated to stand one side. Always pipe the exhaust fumes outside when operating lubricator in closed area. Never fill the fuel tank while the engine is running. Never direct the compressed air to yourself or anyone else. Always stop all operations on a unit before servicing. Always use Navy-approved solvent for the cleaning. Always relieve all pressures before servicing any component with the lubricator. Always check the engine over the compressor, the crankcase, oil at the start of each of the workday. Always review the material safety data sheets for every hazard material, fuel, lubricant, and solvent before using precautions and hazards. Always dispose of the grease, oils, and contamination materials in an inadvertently responsible manner. Pumps. The pump uses mechanical entry produce the primary move of the liquid with one point to another. The pump moves the liquid either pushing it or pulling it. Throwing pumps are often named with a classified with the action of the fluid movement. For example, the diaphragm central figure. Regardless of the design classification, each pump has a power end and liquid end. The power end is some form of the primary movement such as electrical motor, internal combustion engine, steam turbine. The steam-driven pump, the power end of the is referred to as steam end. The basic purpose of the power end is to develop the mechanical motion and the force required for the liquid movement. If the liquid end moves the mechanical movement to develop the primary movement exerted on the liquid, the part with the pump must allow the suction where the liquid enters the pump. The discharge liquid leaves the pump. The liquid end is referred to as the pump, and the water end is the oil end. Show the nature of the substance pumped. Alright, diaphragm pump. The diaphragm pump, figure 433, use the flexible diaphragm to move the liquid. The primary move the small gasoline engine, the centric connection rod again to the convert rotary motion, reciprocation motion on suction stroke with the diaphragm is drawn upward into the concave configuration movement. The diaphragm result of the potential vacuum called the suction ball, the valve. Dub seat and same time keep the discharge of the bulb of the valve seat the minute leg with the pump settle down. Discharge stroke of the diaphragm is pushed downward, forcing the trapped liquid out through. Discharge of the liquid is made with the move of the reciprocating motion of flexible diaphragm. See the diaphragm form of the tie seal of the pump of the liquid and cylinder before the liquid being pumped with the rest of the pump of the driven mechanism. This is a little of the danger liquid abrasion of the corrosion of the move of the parts before behind the diaphragm. Note the diaphragm pumps are especially well suited for pumping mud, slime, silt, and other heavy liquids containing debris and such as sticks and rags and liquid strainers that were fitted with the suction inlet with the prevent large objects from following the suction and discharge valve with the properly damaged the diaphragm. You may have to use the diaphragm pump for the dewatering the trenches whenever the sewer lines, this water lines are to be laid with the dewatering coffee dams. Cofferdams, caffeine for the repair breaking of the water dam. The sewage line, the two most popular type of the diaphragm pumps are the mud hog closed discharge and water hog open discharge. The mud hog is the job that requires pumping the heavy thick liquid discharge distance for the way from the pump. The pump is fitted with the discharge hose connection, the ball valve, and the clearing chamber that designed to prevent the fouling the sticks and stones of rag. The water hose use the pumping thinner and less for the vacuum house of the liquids, clearing handle of the liquids containing sand, gravel, mud with the discharge outlet. With the water hose open, permitted the free valve to increase the discharge capacity. The liquid is discharged directly at the pump of the discharge hose. However, they can be fitted with the pump of the desired. The hose of the connection can reduce the efficiency of the pump. Figure 433 shows the diaphragm pump that you must use the operation of the diaphragm pump since nearly every percent of the problem. You may have the very operation procedure for the individual. Before starting the pump, place the suction line with the screen and liquid to remove the pump. Instruct the trough to drain the dump the pump, drain the pump the discharge away from the pump. Operation. Start the engine first if the pump does not pick up with the liquid in a minute or two. Check the suction line for the leaks. If you do this by pouring water over the hose connection, if in the event that there is a leak, the air bubbles will appear. Should the connection be tight and no leaks appear, with the check of the diaphragm crack punctures. If the diaphragm is damaged, if there is replaced, the mechanical inspectors must make the further inspections. Inspection. Be careful with the nature of the liquid handle with the diaphragm pumps. Inspection during the pump operation particularly important. Inspect with the suction inlet second strainer often to avoid accumulation of debris to reduce suction efficiency. Most diaphragm pumps installations also permit easy access suction diaphragm or its ball check valve. Frequent the valve mechanism should be also inspected frequently to detect scoring, fouling, and proper valve seating. Note sand and gravel other materials can be corroded. The diaphragm ball check valves except these parts require most frequent operator inspection. Your central figure pump. The basic central figure pump has only one part, wheeler and impeller, then connected with the drive of the shaft of the primary mover that rotates within the pump with the casing. The improperly designed, improperly whirling, revolving the motion liquid into the pump. When the improperly rotates relatively high speed, sufficient central figure to develop and throw the liquid outward away from the center of the rotation. Liquid is so into the center of the eye. Impeller of the center of the rotation discharges the outer rim of the impeller. The central figure pump, the diaphragm pump, the driven, the single cylinder, four cylinder, air cooled, and gasoline engine operate the engine properly, but it should be familiar with its controls. Note refer the operator's manual specific instruction the type of the pump that you are operating. Operation central figure generally similar to operation diaphragm pump. Central figure pump figure 434 is also fitted with a stuffing block for the various type of the gear bearings for the required periodic operation and maintenance inspection. Figure 434 shows the central figure pump. Note unlike positive displacement pump, the discharge stop of the valve of the central pump must be closed before starting the pump. The reach of the closing and stop valve to allow the pump to work against the sealed discharge, building up the effective pressure head for attempting to move the discharge liquid downstream. After the pump is up to speed, the discharge valve is open. It will continue to maintain the dish pressure out of the head unless the operating conditions change. There's no danger to the building except for the pressure while the pump is running with the discharge clove. The central figure pump will permit to continue the operation with the discharge seat with the building supply. Simply build up toward the maximum discharge pressure of the building. Begin to churn the liquid as soon as discharge the pressure overcome the suction pressure. The liquid would continually slip back on the suction side of the pump. Nothing more would happen except for the pump would be and build up heat, and since the liquid would not be able to carry away the heat with the generator by moving the parts. Inspection. There's little to you the inspection other than the routine operating or maintenance. If you follow the operator's manual instruction and the pump does not function properly, call for the field mechanical turn in to the dispatcher and hard card for the repair. Sweepers. Many different types of sweepers are used in the Navy. Some of the most common are towed sweepers, are used the magnetic sweeper. The towed sweeper shows. Alright, towed sweeper, the Navy construction primarily with the towed sweeper. There's a side with the easy maintenance to give it an advantage over the street sweeper. The disadvantage that requires primary move of the windows, debris, one side other than does not pick it up. A street sweeper. Alright, Navy also a different type of the grant makes the street sweeper the most common, beginning with the self-propelled type. The self-propelled type street sweeper that's used mainly to remove the loose debris from the surface of the street, the roadway, parking area, the taxiways, airport runways. Operational procedures adhere to the operating the street sweepers are as follows. During sweep operations, you should plan with the street and a sweep select route for the water is available to refill the water tank with the sweeper. The efforts of the time expensive to have traveling long distance refill. The sweeper is equipped with the primary move of the control device and controlling movement of the basic machine steering, sweeping and watering, spraying it, as well as the picking up the containing debris, disposing debris. When refueling the street sweeper, make sure that the engine is turned off. See that the metal-to-metal contact is maintained with the fuel tank. The fuel nozzle keeps the personnel away from the brush and scrubbers. Sweeper during operation. Always stop the operation when adjusting, cleaning, and lubricating the equipment. Keep the hands off the clear of the drivetrains. Park sweeper on level ground with the hand brake applied. Acceptance from emergency. Do not turn the steering wheel or sharply machine this motion. The sweeper to highly respond to the small movements of the steering wheel. Our magnetic sweeper, street sweepers used primarily to pick up the metal debris magnetically, such as iron, steel, scrap, and traffic areas on your tractor metal. Figure 436 shows the street sweeper. 437 is one of the different make of the model with the self-propelled magnetic sweeper with a CB, the type of the sweeper that is most effective for the warehouse storage area of the on granular earth with substances. Sweeper that can be cleaned with a broom and equipment. Under normal conditions, the magnetic sweeper around the work areas on one time, 2 times a week. Will they keep the debris from the pedal free of the metal debris? The construction, demolition, grass with the magnetic sweeper. There should be a use of the need for the keep of the area with free of the metal debris. Use magnetic sweeper to help prevent the flat of the tires of the wheel equipment. And by positioning hydraulic control over the operator can adjust the height of the magnet with the type of the surface being swept. Heavy springs and bumper mount on the magnet help prevent the damage of the obstruction encountered during operation. Springs act like the magnet of the obstruction, return the magnet to previous position. After sweeping the air to make sure the turn, take the magnetic sweeper to adjust and slam the trash air of the dump debris collected, shutting off the magnetic circuit breaker. Place the debris in the container provided with when refueling the magnetic sweeper to make sure the engine is shut off. See the metal contact is maintained with the fuel tank of the fuel nozzle. Perform the following when operating with the sweeper. They're allowed no rudders. Stop operation when adjusting, cleaning, and lubricating the unit. Do not drop the material with the magnet when run the sweeper over the material to pick up the material to dispose off before securing the sweeper. Alright, snow removal equipment. Snow and ice removal operations are effective with the manufacturer's example. Examples of valves availability, suitable equipment, skill, and experience with the personal mission of the activity, geographical location, type and severity of the weather, and effective with efficient snow and removal operations must have component direction supervision. However, the final operation depends largely upon skill and experience training of the operator. Snow and the removal equipment becomes varied with the shape, the size, the types. Equipment can range from the common push plows, sometimes called displacement plows, graders, loaders, and sand spreaders, and sophisticated blower types of equipment. Alright, figures the 437 shows the magnetic sweeper. The plows the most commonly used the snow removal operation. Push plows are commonly referred to as blades. The different configuration of the two. There are 3 types of snow plows: a reversible, roller, and in combination. A reversible blade, figure 438 snow blade that can be positioned below the snow straight ahead with an angle to throw the snow over the right to the left. The small type of the blade and angle with the gear mounted left and lift of the truck. The reverser plows are most efficient in cleaning up the work of the restricted area with the desire to be changed the angled blade rather than deadhead. The plows are also good at removing the light snow with the road walk platform storage area. The reversible blows are intended for the slow speed operation will not remove the snow efficiently. Other plows, however, may be plow airfield pavements, even if the more or less on the other plows. Alright, your rollover blade. A rollover blade can plow snow either side with the tapper with the mold over the blower form to give it the snow with lifting rolling action can throw the snow a considerable distance at fairly high speed to change the right and left the rate for the low plow and go and have name and then pulls the roll over the plow over the toe and remain in the bottom of the arc and heel over the top of the arc. No, complete the constant stop to prevent the damaging from the plow when rolling over the blade over. There's only a few inches of the clearance when the blade passes the center. After you roll over the blade over before you begin another pass, return the blade hoist lever to the float position to allow the plow to follow the contour pavement. Figure 438 shows a reversible blade. 439 shows a rollover blade. The maximum speed of which the snowmobile move with the equipment the operator varies each with military installation. With permissible, you should drive over the snowplow at 20-30 miles per hour to get action at the end of the blade. If you drive up the speed to less than 20 miles an hour, the snow does not have enough to roll to action, which comes off the end of the blade, resulting in a higher windrow. On the other hand, if you maintain a speed of 20 miles an hour or more, the stone will be thrown off the end of the blade and be scattered thinly with the plow. Windrows will be rolled over the plow with a reversible combination blade and keep it in your hand. Keep your speed up and taking less for the full blade with the snow drifting out of the windrow until you begin with your speed pulling back into the windrow. Combination blade. A combination blade in figure 440 can be used in either three of the following positions. Figure 440 shows the combination blade. Straight ahead, angled to the right, angled to the left. The combination blade is angled to either side with the throw of the snow on the combination. Throw to that side. Alright, a combination blade is viewed with the V-plow with the reverse pass with the opening with the center of the wide, and then after this is angled through the snow to the right or left depending on the direction of the travel over the road. The pavement is short. Will take a longer reverse blade angled and it will be dead hand over the pass to the right. Alright, blowers. Augers and snowblower figure 441 feet snow with a high speed auger the rotors and fan shoved below the snow. At the greater distance, the fan augers are powered with the auxiliary engine independent with the truck engine. The power is transmitted with the rear auxiliary engine. The augers, the fan, the driven shaft between the engine clutch assembly, blower assembly. This has a shear pin which will break any time the blower assembly gets an objection, but it does not pay for the blower. In this instance, fan in each auger has a shear pin instead of the driving shaft having one. Air chokes and fire extinguisher rocks are in the items breaking the many shear pins, but they may cause damage to blowers. Movable items should be removed before snowstorms. Once they are covered with the snow, they picked up with the snow with the jams over the blower fan and shear pins damage the blower. On the other end, rocks do not do much damage into the blowers, but when they are blown out with the blower, they may hit an aircraft equipment or even people. If you must blow snow where there are rocks and raise blower a couple of inches off the ground to prevent the picking up of too many rocks. Engaging the blower clutch too fast, engaging when the rear engine, if it's running too fast, engage the blower assembly clogged with the snow will shear pin. Remember the shear pin is a safety device to prevent breaking any other part of the blower. For this reason, you should carry the extra shear pins whether you when operating the blower. The blower is removal of snow with the deep of the plow with the being plowed into the windrow of the chute with the top of the center above the fan is redirected the flow of the snow. The chute can be rotated below the snow to the right or left. Snow is usually blown to the right. It can also be extended to control the right angle distance of the snow and blown the edge of the chute properly. Snow blown into the trucks and been hauled away. Alright, blowers are operated with the throttling auxiliary engine full governed speed, adjusting the truck at the speed of the blower operates full capacity. When the truck speed is too fast, the blower will be clogged and shear with the shear pin fully discharged. The result of the truck being too slow. Speed is slow with the truck speed is just right, but the snow is compressed by the fan and discharged from the pulsate. One good will tell you with the operating capacity is good to even roar, not letting it over the governor, letting it rock. Look, letting it work. Alright, 441 shows the snowblower. Graders can be used to remove the snow in street and parking lots, roads, runways, taxiways, to supplement other snow equipment. Graders often used during cleaning up operation. Major snow removal that has been accomplished with this slush is removed with the grader, bending the types of the cutting edge with remove from the molded board, strip the hard with the rubber, the bolt of the mold board, and place the cutting edge. This prevents the possible damage to pavement surfaces, thus saving a greater amount of the maintenance work in the spring. Alright, loaders in some congested area, the blowers plow snow they hide to see around the intersection of the pile has to be with removal of the wheel loaders and is best suited for this job. The careful must be taken when moving the snow plow with the loaders, fire plugs, electrical, telephone boxes, other utilities may be buried in the snow. If you're not sure where the under the plow of the snow, you can ask the crew member to check the base utility plans before you attempt to move the snow. Or your sand spreader. Most snows are equipped with a sand spreader, commonly called the sander. Sand spreaders and can be in the truck mounted figure 442 and 440, or truck mounted 443. Spreading hot sand over the ice, conventional sand spreading equipment figure 443 is considered one to be the most effective way to producing traction in ice. Truck mounted sand spreader. 1443 tow sand spreader. Surface inspect and other operations, particularly hot and sand, embed themselves in the surface and the resist traffic and wind. The best result for the heat sands should be applied with the ice surface as quickly as possible. Loose sand applied with the sand spreader is also used to produce traction, and when the ice surface is a method for the general satisfaction because the sand is not firmly bonded to the ice. It blows off the surface of the wind and traffic. The mist is more effective when applied to surfaces that are wet and when freezing temperatures are expected. Figure 15, earthwork operations.